CTV News with Matt Grillo.
Good evening. The two candidates vying to lead the CAQ and become premier faced off today in their final debate. And it was immigration and the French language that led to some tense moments. Sweeter Assey was in Laval and has the details.
It's the final face-off. And as the countdown begins, it's the last chance for Christine Fréchette and Bernard Trainville to get voters on their side. The two candidates covering topics such as health, education, and security. But it was immigration and identity that led to the most heated moments. Trainville was largely on the offense. He accused Fréchette of failing to immediately call for the resignation of Air Canada CEO Michael Rousseau, after Rousseau delivered an English-only message following a crash that killed two pilots, one from Quebec. Saying that when it comes to defending French, Quebec cannot have a premier who hesitates.
No.
And the crowd reacted. Then there was Roxham Road, the unofficial border crossing between Canada and the U.S. that has long been a hot-button issue. While it's now closed, Trainville used it to challenge Fréchette's record as immigration minister at that time. Fréchette accused Trainville of misrepresenting her stance. And after the debate, Trainville kept the pressure on.
I think if you want to be a premier, if you want to be a leader, there are some issues upon which you have to be very decisive.
But Fréchette fired back.
Well, if you want to talk about changing his mind, we can talk about Bernard, because a few years ago, Bernard wanted to be the leader of the Parti québécois. Now he wants to be the leader of the coalition Avenir Québec.
According to a recent poll, Quebecers appear to be siding with Fréchette. 47% believe she would be the better premier. 17% want to see Trainville in the role. 13% are undecided. But 22% say neither. The fate of the next party leader and the province's future premier rests on 20,000 CAQ members. They have until April 12th to cast their ballots before the clock runs out. Sweeter Assey, CTV News, Laval.
There was a noisy scene outside the debate center in Laval today as union members took the opportunity to send a message to the governing CAQ. Striking paramedics and prison guards who are in contract talks to use noisemakers to make themselves heard inside the building. About 2,000 paramedics have been on an unlimited strike since December while providing essential services.
We're coming to make some noise to tell the government that we're really mad to be 2 years without a working contract. 2 years that we're negotiating the collective agreement, but we have no advances. We still have a pay decrease on the table.
Meantime, prison guards who do not have the right to strike were protesting lagging negotiations. Police divers spent another day searching for a missing 18-year-old man in the river near Ile Bizarre. The 18-year-old and a 17-year-old both fell through the ice on Rivière-des-Prairies near Cégep Gérald Godin on Thursday afternoon. The 17-year-old male was later found alive and is expected to recover. Divers today concentrated their efforts on a bay near Dupont Road as the search went on for a third day.
We came back yesterday, the entire day till I would say 7:30 at night. We did all the searches. We did the bay too. We had officers on the shore to try to locate him. We didn't find anyone. So today it's the third day. We're taking the divers out to see if they could look in that bay where there's a lot of ice, might be underneath.
Police have ended their search for today and are assessing whether they will continue tomorrow. Public health officials are reporting a new case of measles. An infected person was a passenger on Royal Air Maroc Flight 208 that landed at Trudeau Airport Tuesday, March 24th at 7 p.m. Anyone going through the luggage area and the breastfeeding room near the Subway restaurant that night may have been exposed. The infected person was also at the Saint-Justine Hospital emergency on March 21st, 25th, and 26th. For more details, visit our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. A coalition of 9 groups that provide services for unhoused women is sounding the alarm over sudden funding cuts. Logifemme and Le Chagnon say the cuts mean they will lose $350,000 in expected government funding on March 31st. The groups have to reapply for funding every year and regularly have to make sudden adjustments because of unforeseen cuts. These cutbacks will affect pre- and post-shelter services, part of a continuum of care that advocates say helps women stay off the streets.
The impact of that program is that now, as we're preparing women to leave the shelter, even if the intervention team has helped them sign a lease on a new apartment, our support ends there. So we don't have a budget to be able to help them furnish their apartment. We don't have a budget to help them with food. We don't have a budget to provide ongoing support. So the risk of those women returning into a situation of precarity is extremely high.
She says it would be much more efficient to have a predictable 5-year funding plan. Temperatures are expected to warm up in the coming days, and with rain on the way, there are concerns about the possibility of spring flooding. For homeowners, that means looking out for water infiltration. Kelly Gregg reports.
Along the Measles River, it's a sure sign of spring. Patches of open water with a strong current and melting snow and ice along the shoreline. For contractors, the other sound of the season is the telephone.
We are starting to get calls, especially as soon as it gets to be milder. We're expecting a big surge next week because of the rain.
Walter Assey says it's the time of year to ensure water stays outside.
We want to start from the top and go gradually down so we don't miss any of the composants. We'll start with the roof. If you have missed any of the shingles because of the windstorm that we've had, you want to make sure to call a roofer to at least do a temporary repair. If you have bricks or stone, you want to make sure that you don't have any openings, because that pretty much can cause issues.
And even a little moisture can create a lot of problems. Take, for instance, in an outdoor light fixture.
You want to make sure that the top part have caulking, but not the bottom part. So if water does come in somehow, it have a way to come out from the bottom.
But what about bigger floods? There was extensive damage in 2017 and 2019 when rivers broke their banks. And the province is set to update these flood maps this spring.
The Quebec government has revised the flood maps that were effective as of March 1st. The problem with the Quebec government's maps is that we don't even have the maps.
And that means even more homes in Montreal are deemed at risk of flooding.
What's happened is it's added about 1,700 homes that were never flooded in the past. The idea of putting people in a map that never were flooded before creates a little bit of anxiety, because what does that mean for the homeowner?
Assey says if water starts to rise, so should your urgency.
At least be preemptive in the sandbagging. There's also the flood barriers that you can install in front of your garage. That works tremendously.
With double-digit highs expected next week and rain in the forecast, for homeowners, it could be time to spring into action. Kelly Gregg, CTV News.
5 NDP candidates are making their final pitches in Winnipeg, hoping to be the next federal leader for the new Democratic Party. It's been a 6-month leadership race to replace Jagmeet Singh. Voting closes today, and the new leader will be announced Sunday morning. Voters will choose between union leader Rob Ashton, social worker Tenille Johnston, farmer Tony McQuail, filmmaker Avi Lewis, and Alberta MP Heather McPherson. Canadian freestyle champion Mikael Kingsbury is celebrating the end of his career today in the place that started it all, Saint-Sauveur.
Mesdames, Messieurs, oui! Mikael Kingsbury! Champion canadien 2026!
Kingsbury's return to Saint-Sauveur, where his family had a cottage, for the Canadian Championships. It was more than just symbolic. He swept the men's competitions, defeating Kerry Cole in the big final, today's dual moguls. Friday, he won gold in single moguls. The 33-year-old is retiring with a resume that includes 100 World Cup wins, 29 Crystal Globes, 9 world titles, and 5 Olympic medals, including 2 golds. It was a busy day at the Atwater Market with plenty of people indulging their sweet tooth. It's part of sugaring off season, and maple syrup was on full display, with vendors showcasing different types of maple syrup products.
It's a big event. We can make the people know what maple syrup is. Some people don't know. We like to share what we do. We do pie, donuts, a lot of stuff, and we're here to share that.
So I'm originally from Montreal, but I moved to Chicago, and I'm bringing my kids here for the first time. And you know, every time we come here, we try to get some maple syrup products. It's so delicious. You know, on the snow like this, the tea, it's amazing.
It brings a lot more people to the market. We see a lot of families around, people that might not come otherwise, and everyone's having a lot of fun.
Sugaring off season continues at the public markets. It's happening at the Maisonneuve Market tomorrow and Jean Talon Market on April 11th. Taking a look at the forecast now, we are sitting at -2 degrees in Montreal. It's -4 in the eastern townships, -6 in Quebec City. It is really going to warm up tomorrow. We'll start the day at -3, and then we'll have a high of 6 degrees by mid-afternoon. And we're expecting a much warmer week ahead, a high of 12 degrees on Monday. But the warmer temps come with cloudy weather. There will be periods of rain scattered throughout the week. After the break, the No Kings protests against Donald Trump are back. And after a rollover crash, Tiger Woods is out of jail. There are thousands of No Kings protests being held in the United States today. Millions of people are marching, showing their opposition to President Trump's policies as well as the war in Iran. It comes as Republicans gather for an annual convention. Selena Wang reports.
Today, across the country from New York to Boston and Washington, D.C., millions of people gathering for new No Kings protests.
Our founders made every effort to make sure that this was not going to be a monarchy, and yet here we are with an administration and a Congress and so forth that is supporting somebody who behaves like a monarch.
Demonstrators speaking out against President Trump's policy from immigration enforcement to the war with Iran, and taking center stage, St. Paul, the capital of Minnesota, the epicenter of resistance to the immigration crackdown.
Remember the names of those who died on the streets of Minneapolis.
In Minneapolis in January, Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse, was killed by federal officers, and Renee Good was killed after ICE agents claimed she tried to ram them with her car.
Their sacrifice has inspired and will continue to inspire the American people in the never-ending struggle for justice.
The killings of Good and Preddy are at the very core of what triggered the current partial government shutdown. The Democrats had been holding out for changes to the way ICE operates.
And the American people know that ICE is out of control, and they're demanding changes.
And they don't want enforcement to remove criminal illegal aliens. It is the most reckless thing we've ever seen. We're so frustrated by it. Democrats are playing a dangerous game.
Organizers expected more than 9 million people to take part in today's protests. The White House dismissed the nationwide protests as a product of leftist funding networks with little real public support. Selena Wang, ABC News, Washington.
The U.S., Israel, and Iran continue to trade attacks, and the Israeli military is continuing its incursion into Lebanon. Meanwhile, the Houthis in northern Yemen have launched their first attack in the war against Israel. The group says it fired a barrage of ballistic missiles targeting what it calls sensitive Israeli military sites. This comes after the Israeli military said it intercepted a missile launched from Yemen. The Houthis, whose involvement could widen and prolong the conflict, say their attacks will continue until what they describe as, quote, aggression on all fronts comes to an end. Footage on social media shows the moment an Iranian cluster munition struck Israel's capital today. It was part of an attack that Israeli officials say killed 1 person and injured 2. Both Iran and Israel have kept up attacks against each other. Thousands of civilians have been killed across the Middle East since the war began. Reports are coming in that Israeli attacks in southern Lebanon have killed 3 journalists. The killings were confirmed by Lebanese media, who reported that an Israeli strike on a car killed the journalists. Israel says the attack killed a, quote, terrorist working with Hezbollah, a claim denied by the Lebanese group. French police have reportedly prevented an apparent bomb attack outside a U.S. bank in Paris. Officials say a man was arrested today as he was about to set off a homemade explosive device. The incident occurring outside the Bank of America in the French capital. Reports say the man had placed a device holding 5 liters of liquid believed to be fuel and an ignition system. The president of Ukraine has made unannounced visits to the United Arab Emirates and Qatar. Zelenskyy says Ukraine has already signed 10-year security agreements with Saudi Arabia and Qatar and expects to finalize a similar agreement with the UAE. It comes as Ukraine deals with more than 4 years of war with Russia. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to pay Transportation Security Administration officers Friday, but it's having little effect on wait times for passengers at airports across the U.S. Molalenghi reports.
Well, to say wait times here at PWI have been long would be an understatement. Average wait time so far today has been about 3 hours with really no relief in sight. As you can see, people everywhere, lines really moving in every direction, lines twisting and turning throughout the terminal, stretching from the TSA security checkpoint, past the airline ticket lines, past the shops and the restaurants, past the coffee shops and the food courts, stretching literally outside, out the doors, down the curb as far as the eye can see. People waiting hours and hours. We've had some people tell us 2-3 hour wait times. Some resigned to the reality that they could miss their flights, literally as they wait in line. So today's shaping up to be another long and busy day, not just here at PWI, but really throughout the country. TSA agents obviously continuing to wait on those paychecks. Some agents waiting 3, 4, 5 weeks, and that is causing a lot of this. In fact, Thursday was the worst day in terms of TSA agents calling out at airports across the country. Nearly 3,500 TSA officers calling out on Thursday alone, paralyzing some of the nation's busiest airports. Bush Airport in Houston had the worst of that. 44% of their TSA agents calling out of work on Thursday. Atlanta had 40%. Here at BWI it was 37%. And JF, with air travel picking up here over the next few days and really into next week, you've got Easter, Passover, spring break. So this confluence of events between increased air travel and TSA agents calling out, leading to a lot of the lines that we're seeing right here. Officials urging people, if you have to travel over the next few days, give yourself plenty of time, minimum of 2 to 3 hours, maybe even more at some of the busier airports, and you certainly want to pack a lot of patience. Molalenghi, ABC News, Baltimore.
Now to the arrest of Tiger Woods. The golf legend is out of jail today after being arrested on DUI charges in Florida. Andrew Dimbert has the story.
This morning, Tiger Woods out of jail after being arrested on DUI charges. The 50-year-old golf legend seen here leaving Martin County Jail in Florida late Friday.
Mr. Woods did exemplify signs of impairment.
Authorities say Woods was traveling at a high rate of speed on this road Friday afternoon, passing a truck on a 2-lane road when he crashed and rolled over his Land Rover near his home on Jupiter Island.
The truck pulling a trailer was trying to slow down and pull over, and Mr. Woods was overtaking him at a high rate of speed before he clipped it back in and rolled his vehicle over on the driver's door.
The Martin County Sheriff's Department says Woods was not injured and was able to crawl out of the passenger side door before police arrived. Suspecting Woods may be impaired, officers on scene performed a breathalyzer test, which detected no alcohol according to investigators. However, authorities say Woods refused to take a blood or urine test.
A urinalysis would have showed evidence or not of other drugs, and since he refused to take it, he was charged with DUI with property damage and failure to take a lawful test, both misdemeanors.
Over the years, Woods has been in multiple vehicle crashes. In 2021, he nearly had his leg amputated after the SUV he was driving rolled over multiple times outside Los Angeles.
You're stopped in the road, in the middle of the road.
In 2017, the golf pro was charged with DUI after being found by police passed out behind the wheel of his damaged vehicle. Woods pleaded guilty to reckless driving. In 2009, Woods crashed into a fire hydrant near his home. This latest arrest comes while Woods mounts a comeback to competitive golf. Just this week, he played in his first match since 2025 for the Jupiter Lynx in ESPN's TGL League, and had his eye on a potential return to golf's biggest stage, the Masters.
This body doesn't recover like it was when I was 24, 25. Doesn't mean I'm not trying. I've been trying for a while.
But now, in the wake of another DUI charge and crash, a complicated legacy comes back into focus for the 15-time major champion.
I think he's always going to be remembered as one of the greatest golfers of all time, but clearly this tarnishes his image again.
The cost of gas continues to climb, and with no relief in sight, Canadians are already changing their driving habits. Paul Hollingsworth reports.
With gas prices on the rise, drivers and entire industries are feeling the squeeze.
Trying to manage, you can say, because we can't survive without a gas.
And the pressure at the pumps also continues to spike.
The car needs gas, so I just do what I got to do at the end of the day.
Trevor Wheatley's van is his office. When he's busy, he drives a lot. Wheatley says the cost of fuel slashes the bottom line of his plumbing business.
It's been climbing and climbing, and of course, driving a bigger rig like myself, yeah, definitely it's going to impact, the cost.
As Wheatley's overhead becomes more expensive, he passes it on to his customers.
I got to charge people, I got to charge travel time now because of covering costs for gas is very important.
Fuel analyst Carol Montroy says gas and diesel prices are up alarmingly across Canada since the start of the Iran war.
Gasoline up 30% and diesel up 40%.
Montroy says if this trend continues, it's safe to predict what will happen next.
As we get way above 175, 180, getting close to $2 a liter, people are changing their habit.
Dalhousie University professor Lauren Sheehan worries about a dip in the North American travel tourism industry.
The biggest variable cost that airlines face is fuel. So as the fuel prices increase, they're having to pass that on to the customer.
Sheehan also sees warning signs for the upcoming summer season, a time when people spend money directly on transportation. He expects Canadian travelers to stay closer to home. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
A trial run was held today in Toronto ahead of the world's biggest soccer tournament. Canada's men's national soccer team took on Iceland in a friendly match in the lead-up to the FIFA World Cup. Kamo Karamali reports.
This friendly match between Canada and Iceland is anything but friendly. It's a chance for fans here to get all riled up before the world's biggest soccer tournament makes its way here in June.
It's a great atmosphere, man. I think everyone's ready for the World Cup, ready to support Canada in soccer, man.
I'm not usually a fan of friendlies, but it's great that we're having one here in Toronto, and the fact that Toronto's having the World Cup is phenomenal.
This was also a chance for the city of Toronto to test their new World Cup host stadium, what's usually known as BMO Field, transformed. The capacity has increased by roughly 17,000, with temporary seats added on the north and south ends of the stadium, and more than 30 new luxury suites. It has a new hybrid grass playing surface as well that players will get to test out for the first time in a competitive setting. In many ways, this is also a good test for crowd flow, transit logistics, and security before the FIFA World Cup. We spoke to plenty of fans who had trouble with traffic. What's it like trying to get here?
A nightmare.
What was the worst part?
Traffic.
Yeah, how bad was it?
The traffic was very bad.
Now, as for the team, Canada has still never won a FIFA World Cup match, and they're looking to gear up in this friendly, a chance to build chemistry and test their readiness against a team it struggled to beat in the past in Iceland. Canada has another friendly match here against Tunisia on Tuesday. The World Cup kicks off here in Toronto on June 12th. Kamil Karmali, CTV News, Toronto.
Still to come, we take a look at the potential impact from Wednesday's court ruling against Meta and YouTube. And we meet a local up-and-coming star in the sport of powerlifting. A landmark ruling on social media platforms came down this week. Instagram and YouTube have been held liable for their addictive nature of their products. Both Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube have been ordered to pay $6 million US to the victim in this case. Joining us now to talk more about this is Florian Martin Barito, a law professor at the University of Ottawa. Thanks for doing this.
Good afternoon.
So let's start off with your reaction to the decision. What did you think?
It's a landmark decision because it's the first time that we have a jury, we have a court recognizing the design choices of those big platforms, and that every time they decided to choose between making more money with ads, with like creating addiction with their users, they decided to go this road rather than like protecting their users, protecting kids and other vulnerable persons. So it's a very important case.
I guess the big question now is, does this open the door, you think, to other lawsuits?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually like we have a decision from California. So a few days before we had a decision from New Mexico. And so we have a series of cases ongoing across the US, but also in Canada regarding like the design choices of those platforms, so social media, but also with, OpenAI and ChatGPT in British Columbia, etc. So this is the first time that victims have been able to have their like harm being recognized by a court. And so I'm sure it's going to fuel like all of those other ongoing cases, and most probably like new cases will come forward in the US, but also in Canada.
These companies are planning to appeal the decision, but do you think they are concerned about this? And would this motivate them enough to make changes to their platforms, do you think?
Yeah, I think they're like extremely concerned. This is why they're gonna appeal those decisions. It might go up to the Supreme Court of the US because it's such like an important question. There is like a lot of money at stake, even though like, for just one case, it doesn't look like that much, but when you look at all of the ongoing cases, it's gonna add up very, very quickly. And unfortunately, this is the only way to make them change the practices, because this is a business decision for them, and they will only change the design choices when it will be more expensive for them to do this rather than protecting their users. So I'm hopeful that we're going to see changes in the coming weeks, months on those platforms.
You mentioned Canada earlier. Any chance this has an impact on Canada with potential lawsuits?
Absolutely. So we have currently in Ontario a similar lawsuit of the school boards against the big tech platforms. We have also in British Columbia a lawsuit from some of the victims of the Temple Ridge shooting, saying that ChatGPT, OpenAI designed the tool in a way to harm its users and the correct safeguards. So that will be hopeful to see the evidence in the Californian court for those cases. But also we have a policy discussion in Canada, in Quebec, but also at the federal level, about maybe some ban on social media, but also on reintroducing the online harm bill at the federal level to make sure that we have the legal tool to better frame those platforms, to better make them accountable of their design choices to protect the public.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk here in Canada about banning social media for youth, including right here in Quebec. Is this the solution, or do we also need to be thinking about taking other measures?
I think we need more, because banning is a policy choice, society choice, and this is what is happening in the US. The US is not just the Trump administration; it's also 50 states who have been taking such measures over the past years. But the thing is, if you ban, when something is prohibited, especially sometimes for citizens, for the youth, it might be even more interesting to try to go beyond. And technically, a lot of those platforms already prohibit users under 13, and we know very well that such users, are on the platform. We need more, because it's not just the kids who are at risk, it's everybody. So journalists have been the victim, women, NGOs, people. So we need to force them to rethink how they design their algorithms, or they design those platforms, to stop trying to create, addiction and amplify harms. And so this is why we need such proposal like the Online Harm Act that was tabled in the previous parliament at the federal level, to force them to change the practices.
Florian Martin Barito, thank you so much for doing this today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Work to replace the Olympic Stadium roof has reached the next phase. A new technical ring has been built. It's much lighter than the old one made of concrete. This week, engineers showed off the project that is apparently on schedule and budget. Denise Roberts reports.
These days, the Olympic Stadium is an open-air amphitheater and a major construction site where more than 200 workers are putting the pieces together to make way for a new roof. Overseeing it all is Nadir Genfood.
The second phase of the project was dismantling of the old technical ring and the installation of the new technical ring. So far, we've been able to complete it in the past weeks, on time and on budget.
That's no small feat, especially in a stadium notorious for cost overruns. It was also challenging given the sheer weight of the old technical ring.
When we were dismantling the existing technical ring, each piece could weigh as much as 120 tons, which is the equivalent of a small house that we're moving, and we have to do that 38 times inside the arena.
The new technical ring is a steel structure with aluminum cladding, which makes it 5 times lighter than the concrete one. It will house equipment such as ventilation and lighting and a new sound system. Quebec has invested over $870 million in the project, saying it will boost the local economy and allow the stadium to open year-round.
What we expect is to have a stadium that will be able to operate 365 days per year, to have a stadium that can host events of a really large scale.
The new roof is expected to be completed in 2028. The roof will not be retractable, but will have panels where the light can come through. And most importantly, the engineers say it will have a much longer lifespan than the last one. Genfood said the materials for the roof were chosen with Montreal's weather in mind.
Being in Montreal, we have to worry about the snow, we have to worry about ice. We've made sure to choose the materials that can resist impact.
The next step will be to build the new roof on towers inside the stadium, a new chapter for a storied structure. Denise Roberts, CTV News.
Many Canadian families are frustrated waiting for a bed to open at a nursing home. That proved costly for a New Brunswick man waiting more than a year for a bed. He was hit with a $20,000 bill while waiting in hospital. Laura Brown reports.
Malcolm Jones spent a year and a half in hospital waiting for this room to become a reality at a nursing home. He says it was frustrating and difficult.
Painful because of my disease.
The 68-year-old was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia as a child. Today, he lives with Parkinson's disease. His health took a turn in the summer of 2024, and he landed in the St. John Regional Hospital.
Everything was isolation at the hospital, and he became so used to it after a year and a half, he just didn't even want to be around people.
This is Malcolm's cousin, Karen Wilson, who became his power of attorney last year. She has spent days updating his banking and tax information, finding insurance, and ensuring he gets guaranteed income supplement. What she didn't realize, Malcolm was being charged a fee for every day he was waiting in hospital for a nursing home bed.
It's over $20,000 now they want for him staying in the hospital.
She said the bill came out of nowhere 17 months after Malcolm first arrived at the hospital. It comes to about $56 a day. Horizon Health Network pointed CTV News to a section on their website that states when a person is medically discharged from the hospital, meaning they no longer have an acute care reason to be there, a daily per diem will be charged. But hospitals cannot release patients until they have a long-term care placement.
I didn't sign anything, he didn't sign anything saying we would pay fees or we'd be even charged a fee.
Malcolm only moved here 2 weeks ago. Now that he's settled, the pair are going to try and make a case to the hospital. A $20,000 reminder of a wait he never wanted to make in the first place. Laura Brown, CTV News, St. John.
Just ahead, we have the details and highlights from the Montreal Victoire game this afternoon.
Tonight, Toronto's World Cup dress rehearsal.
So excited for the possibilities.
Is the city ready to meet the moment and the stars who shine brightest? Later on CTV National News and watch on Crave.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
An increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVMontreal.ca, your home for news.
A Hudson teen just walked away a winner at the Jeux de Québec. taking home 3 bronze medals in powerlifting. And that's after only a few years in the sport. Lauren Fernandez reports.
Next one, stay at the bottom, 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3.
Natasha Jin is carrying a lot on her shoulders. The 16-year-old powerlifter is balancing school with training 3 times a week and a part-time job.
I know that I can push myself more and more and do more every single time.
It was only 3 years ago that she discovered the sport at CrossFit de la Cité in Hudson. Natasha's coach, Jeannie Harbour, says they began training slowly.
And that was the key word, having fun. So I let her have fun and build some confidence with that barbell.
Lifting heavy and in between sets, having fun. That approach is paying off. Natasha recently took home 3 bronze medals and a Sports Spirit Award at Les Jeux du Québec.
It was really an exciting moment for me. I know when I got off stage, I was really emotional. I don't know why I'm getting emotional now, but I was really happy with my performance.
She says she couldn't have done it without her coach.
We've really built a really good connection these last 3 years. She really helps me with everything. She helps me push. She helps me just get my technique right. She's always there for me, no matter what.
They're already preparing for the next competition, which could help Natasha qualify for the Canadian Championships.
I'm hoping to maybe someday do international competitions. I think that would be really cool. I think I'm just going to try and go as far as I can in weightlifting.
I find it amazing that already she's setting objectives by herself, that she has enough confidence to set those objectives and say, I can do it, and I want to go get it.
It's that determination and drive they hope inspires other young women to pick up the sport.
It gave me a little confidence boost that I needed, for sure, and I'm really excited to see what's next.
Aiming high in the world of powerlifting. Lauren Fernandez, CTV News.
The Montreal Victoire took on the New York Sirens this afternoon in Detroit.
Nico Valles en retrait pour Dubois, le tir et le but!
It was actually the Sirens who got on the scoreboard first, though, with a goal from Casey O'Brien. It would remain 1-0 for New York until the third period when the Victoire took over. Catherine Dubois scored 2 goals, and Laura Stacey would add a third tally, and the Victoire come away with a 3-1 victory. The city is taking steps to promote nightlife in 3 so-called nightlife zones. The city says the zones are the first to be announced. They will allow 21 businesses to have longer opening hours. One of the areas is the Quartier des Spectacles, where Place des Arts and Société des Arts Technologies are located. Another is Saint Laurent Boulevard between Sherbrooke and Laurier. And the third is St. Catherine Street in the Village between St. Hubert and Cartier Streets. The city will also award some businesses $5,000 to upgrade their soundproofing. A handful of lucky nightclub patrons were treated to a very special moment in NDG.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Christopher.
Yeah, that's the one and only Chris de Burgh going on stage at the Wheel Club. De Burgh played 2 nights at Place des Arts this week and dropped by Thursday at the invitation of the club's manager and Steve Barry, who does a tribute of de Burgh's music. But de Burgh ended up not only listening, he got on stage to sing 2 of his most famous songs before a handful of lucky people who knew all the words. Here's Wheel Club co-owner Cindy Turner on how it all came about.
So Steve didn't even know. And after Steve finished singing, I went up and told him that a friend of ours wants to come up and sing a song, but with no band, just a guitar. And Steve, it just went right over his head, like, what friend? And then you could see it register in his eyes. It's like, oh, that friend. And that just made his night. It just, that was his bucket list, right at the top of his bucket list. So I've never been so happy for somebody else in my whole life. Just watching the sheer emotion on his face, it was incredible.
And I was overwhelmed. I'm seeing somebody I admire, a gentle soul. It felt like I was close to the Holy Spirit. We were blessed by his presence. He didn't have to do that. He doesn't have to tour. The man could retire, but he loves Montreal. He loves Canada. And we love him. We love him back.
A Vancouver artist has made a niche for himself, bringing scraps of wood to life. Sinjin Alexander has more.
Officially a workshop, but Bob Christie calls it the play zone.
Okay, I'll give a nice big smile.
Where buckets of wood pieces.
I'm just looking for a nose.
No two alike, but every one a gem.
We'll grab a set of eyeballs here. Try these eyeballs.
Bond to become stumpies.
I just have stumps or pieces of wood that I glue and screw together, that's it.
Far from it, they are now avid ski bums at the Triple Black Diamond Resort, adoring crowds and daredevils brought to life by what's been thrown to the ground.
Windstorms slow down, I pick stuff up and make these guys.
All of it inspired decades ago by a figurine Christie spotted on a vending machine.
It just burnt into my brain, this little wooden guy. Yeah. And I think, I went, man, I could build one of those, I think.
Well, he proved himself right during the pandemic, creating a cast of hundreds, at first taking center stage in what he calls the secret garden.
It started just, okay, let's do different characters and let's, I don't know, let's make something else. Let's make a band.
The lead guitar player and his girlfriend, watched over by the stage manager. None of them with names because it just got too confusing, but each unquestionably with their own personalities. Now, his wife is wondering who's moving in next, and his kids, well, they're not so sure what's going on with Dad.
Well, because I put them around the yard, and it's kind of like, it's not, you don't do that.
For the most part, Christie doesn't sell any of his gang. They are his heart and soul, and has no plans to stop the village from growing.
I don't think I'll ever stop. As long as there's trees that blow down, I'm making stumpies.
As he puts it, throw on a set of eyes and a mouth, and it makes you smile. Sinjin Alexander, CTV News, Surrey.
Easter is just over a week away, and if you haven't picked up those festive treats yet, you may be in for a surprise, and not a good one. As Vanessa Wright reports, the price of chocolate is up again this year.
Experts say chocolate has silently increased by 10% since last year.
Well, you kind of get used to it. Everything else has gone up, so you kind of take it for granted.
The good news is cocoa futures are trending down, according to food policy expert Sylvain Charlebois. The bad news, prices aren't expected to drop until next year.
Be careful with sales. They're not really sales. They'll show you a bunny, a chocolate bunny that is on sale 10% off, 20%, but they're not really lower price compared to last year, unfortunately.
It's a reality the owners of Whim Chocolate in Halifax know all too well. The price of their base chocolate has increased by 100%.
We are really committed to keeping our quality at the highest standards that we possibly can. And that may involve an increase in price, but we're not going to compromise on the quality of our chocolate.
As for whether Easter sales will be affected by current chocolate costs, Parker says they won't know the full scope until after the holiday.
You could have one person that comes in and buys everything that they see, money's not an object, and other people are like, oh, well, I might just get one instead of multiples that I would have gotten in the past.
Vanessa Wright, CTV News.
Coming up, a sign of friendship between two countries now in full bloom.
For breaking news and local news that matters to you, download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca.
In the U.S., Washington's iconic cherry trees are at peak bloom, and they are drawing crowds to the Tidal Basin, a site historically symbolic of Japan-U.S. diplomatic ties. The trees are a 1912 gift from Japan, marking an enduring symbol of friendship between the nations. Visitors travel there to witness their vibrant pink and white blossoms. And Switzerland is ushering in spring with a little help from tens of thousands of colorful tulips. More than 140,000 tulips are part of the annual Tulip Festival beginning today. and running until May 10th this year. The festival dates back to 1971. And time for another look at the forecast. It is -2 in Montreal. Slightly colder elsewhere in the province, though. It's -4 in the eastern townships, -6 in Quebec City. We will see warmer weather, though. Tomorrow we'll start the day at -3, and then we'll have a high of 6 degrees by mid-afternoon. And we're expecting a much warmer week ahead, a high of 12 degrees on Monday. But the warm temps come with plenty of clouds. There will be periods of rain as well, scattered throughout the week. And that's it for us. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.